So the next area that I served in was Turlock. And Turlock is on fire with missionary work. That was just the most active area for missionary work that I served in my entire mission. And it has a beautiful Hispanic culture there, which I really enjoyed as an English sister, because I would just hear all these amazing stories of the homemade tortillas that the hermanas would tell us about, and I never got to try them until I went to Turlock. And so it was a wonderful area with a vibrant, rich culture that was really great to work in. So that was the thing that stood out to me most about Turlock, was getting to experience another culture and another nationality. So when I was serving in Turlock, I was working with an investigator who lived in a halfway house. So he had kind of gone through drug rehab, and he wasn't quite able to live on his own, but there was just a house where a bunch of men lived to try to get back on their feet. And it wasn't in the best part of town, and they still kind of continued with their struggles. But I remember once we had gone to talk with him, and a bunch of his buddies from the halfway house were there, and they were kind of making fun of us, and they were joking, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing talking to those sister missionaries? You know, this is a crazy kind of thing." And I remember getting kind of fired up and looking at this whole group of kind of these big burly men with their cigarettes and their beer bottles, and they're kind of just joking around, and I pulled out my finger and I was shaking it at them, and I said, "Hey, I take this really seriously, and if you're not going to be serious about it, then we're going to go." And they all kind of like stared at me, because I was much smaller and seemed more timid than they thought I would be, and they're like, "Yes ma'am, we're sorry ma'am," and they all kind of quieted down, and we were able to finish the lesson. And it was a beautiful lesson, and I think it helped our investigator understand just how serious we were about teaching him the gospel. I don't know where that came from, but I just had so much love for this investigator that I wanted him to know how seriously I took teaching him, and that it was so important for me that he knew about Jesus Christ, and I wanted him to know that he needed to take it seriously too.